Ever wondered about the integrity of presidential families? Over the decades, we've seen presidential families involved in a myriad of legal quandaries. From the progeny of Ulysses S. Grant to the kin of Warren G. Harding, from the family of Richard Nixon to the relatives of Bill Clinton, and even our current president, Joe Biden's family, all have had their share of legal entanglements. It's essential to look beyond the surface and delve into the details of these cases. What were the accusations? What were the consequences? Were there any convictions? How did these incidents affect the presidency and the nation at large? So let's dive into the history and explore some of these cases. It's a journey that will take us through the annals of American history, shedding light on the trials and tribulations of some of the most influential families in the United States. We start our journey with the family of the 18th President, Ulysses S. Grant. We find that the Grant family wasn't immune to scandal. A significant event that stands out involves Grant's private secretary, Orville E. Babcock. Babcock was a key player in what came to be known as the Whiskey Ring scandal, a historical event that sent shockwaves through the nation during the mid-70s of the 19th century. This scandal revolved around a group of distillers and public officials who defrauded the government of liquor taxes. The Whiskey Ring was a well-orchestrated scheme that spanned multiple states, with the culprits pocketing millions of dollars from tax revenues. Babcock, as Grant's private secretary, was deeply embroiled in this scandal. His role became evident when investigators uncovered a telegram linking him to the fraud ring. Now let's talk about the consequences. Babcock was indicted and stood trial for his involvement. However, he was acquitted primarily due to Grant's unwavering support and a testimony that he gave in Babcock's favor. The president's involvement raised many eyebrows, making people question his judgment and the integrity of his administration. The Whiskey Ring scandal was a black mark on Grant's presidency. It wasn't just about the lost revenue, it was a blatant abuse of power, a stark reminder of the corruption that can infiltrate even the highest levels of government. The fallout was significant. The scandal led to a congressional investigation and the resignation of Grant's Secretary of the Treasury, Benjamin Bristow. Despite the scandal, Grant's presidency survived, but his reputation was tarnished. The Whiskey Ring scandal left a lasting impression and is still referred to today as a prime example of corruption within a presidential administration. Fast forward to the 29th president, Warren G. Harding, and the infamous Teapot Dome scandal. This scandal, named after a rock formation in Wyoming that resembled a teapot, was one of the most significant political scandals before the infamous Watergate. At the heart of this scandal was Harding's Interior Secretary, Albert Fall. Fall was a close friend of Harding and was entrusted with the administration of the nation's oil reserves. However, this trust was betrayed when Fall leased the Teapot Dome oil fields in Wyoming and the Elk Hills and Buena Vista oil fields in California to private oil companies at low rates without competitive bidding. This was no ordinary lease agreement. Fall received kickbacks and no-interest loans from these oil companies, amassing a considerable amount of wealth in the process. When this illicit activity came to light, it sent shockwaves through the nation. It was a gross violation of public trust, and it demonstrated a blatant disregard for the principles of honesty and integrity that are so crucial in public service. Fall was eventually found guilty of accepting bribes from the oil companies, making him the first cabinet member in American history to be imprisoned for crimes committed while in office. He was sentenced to 1 year in prison and fined $100,000. The oil companies involved were ordered to relinquish their leases, but the damage had already been done. The Teapot Dome scandal tarnished Harding's presidency, and the fallout was immense. Harding himself was never implicated in the scandal, but he suffered greatly under the weight of the controversy. He died suddenly in 1923, leaving his vice president, Calvin Coolidge, to deal with the aftermath. Harding's administration was left in disarray, casting a long shadow over his presidency. The Teapot Dome scandal serves as a stark reminder of the potential for corruption in politics and the importance of maintaining integrity and transparency in public service. No list would be complete without mentioning Richard Nixon and the Watergate scandal. A political controversy that shook the United States to its core, Watergate was more than just a hotel break-in. It was a complex web of deceit, political espionage, and abuse of power that ultimately led to the downfall of a presidency. While Nixon himself was at the center of the scandal, it's worth noting that his family was also deeply affected by these events. Nixon's wife, Pat, stood by her husband throughout the ordeal despite the immense public scrutiny and personal pain it caused her. She was known for keeping a low profile, but the strain of the Watergate scandal took a toll on her health and well-being. Their daughters, Tricia and Julie, were also caught in the storm of the scandal. They were young adults at the time, trying to navigate life in the public eye, while their father was embroiled in one of the biggest political scandals in American history. Despite the turmoil, they stood by their father, defending his character and maintaining his innocence. But what were the consequences? Nixon was never formally charged or convicted for his involvement in the Watergate scandal. However, the impeachment process was initiated, and Nixon, faced with near certain impeachment, chose to resign from the presidency on August 8, 1974. This marked the first and only time a U.S. president has resigned from office. The fallout from the Watergate scandal was immense. It led to widespread mistrust in the government and tarnished the reputation of the presidency. For Nixon's family, it meant living under the shadow of scandal and disgrace. Nixon's resignation marked the end of a tumultuous era in American politics. The Watergate scandal and the role Nixon's family played in it serves as a stark reminder of the impact political scandals can have on the families of those involved. Moving on to more recent times, we have Bill Clinton and the Lewinsky scandal. This scandal, which took place in the late 90s, involved a much-publicized affair between then-President Bill Clinton and Monica Lewinsky, a White House intern. This affair was not merely a private matter, but one that had significant political and legal implications. It began in 1995 and continued until 1997, hidden from the public eye. However, the truth came to light in January of 1998, causing a media frenzy and putting the Clinton family under intense scrutiny. The affair was a major issue, but what made it a scandal was President Clinton's initial denial. He famously stated, "I did not have sexual relations with that woman," during a televised address, referring to Lewinsky. This denial, later proven to be untrue, led to charges of perjury, a serious offense, especially for a sitting president. The repercussions were severe. The House of Representatives voted to impeach Clinton on charges of perjury and obstruction of justice in December of 1998, making him the second U.S. president in history to be impeached. However, Clinton's trial in the Senate did not lead to his removal from office. In February of 1999, the Senate acquitted him of both charges. He remained in office until the end of his term in January 2001, his presidency marked by this scandal. The scandal led to Clinton's impeachment, though he was later acquitted. Before we continue with Joe Biden's family, please give us your opinions in our comments and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more interesting facts and gossips. And lastly, we arrive at the current president, Joe Biden, and his family. A significant figure in this narrative is Biden's son, Hunter Biden, who has faced a barrage of accusations and allegations. Hunter's business dealings, particularly in Ukraine and China, have been the subject of intense scrutiny and controversy. In Ukraine, Hunter served on the board of a gas company called Burisma, a position he held while his father was vice president of the United States. Critics argue that this could be a potential conflict of interest and that Hunter had no experience to hold this position. Allegations arose suggesting that Joe Biden had used his position to protect his son and Burisma from investigation by Ukrainian authorities. However, no concrete evidence has emerged to substantiate these claims. Moving to China, Hunter Biden's involvement with a private equity firm known as BHR Partners has also raised eyebrows. He held a 10% stake in the firm, which has connections to Chinese state-owned enterprises. There have been claims that his involvement with BHR Partners could have influenced American foreign policy towards China. Again, these claims lack hard evidence. In addition to these international business ventures, Hunter Biden is currently under federal investigation for his tax affairs. The investigation, led by the U.S. Attorney's Office in Delaware, is examining possible tax fraud related to his work abroad. Hunter Biden has publicly acknowledged this investigation and pledged his full cooperation. The story of the Biden family serves as a reminder. Being in the public eye, especially as part of a presidential family, comes with intense scrutiny. Every action, every business deal, every personal decision is under the microscope with potential political implications. As the investigation is ongoing, the final outcome remains to be seen. From 19th century whiskey rings to 21st century business dealings, presidential families have had their share of legal troubles. In our journey through history, we've seen Ulysses S. Grant's family embroiled in the notorious whiskey ring scandal. We've delved into the Harding family's involvement in the infamous Teapot Dome scandal. We've navigated the tumultuous waters of the Nixon family's Watergate scandal, and we've revisited the Clinton family's Lewinsky scandal that shook the 90s. Most recently, we've examined the Biden family's accusations, a testament to the fact that no era, no family is exempt from potential controversy. These events serve as stark reminders that the families of our nation's leaders, like all families, are complex, flawed, and human. They underline the importance of transparency, accountability, and the pursuit of justice, regardless of one's stature or position. The integrity of presidential families continues to be a topic of interest, reminding us that even the most powerful are not above scrutiny. Please give us your opinions in our comments, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more interesting facts and gossips.